Hi everyone, welcome to our journey through Mark's Gospel. We've got to chapter 5. Chapter 5 only tells us about two incidents, but in both Mark goes into a little bit more detail. First of all, he tells us about the healing of a demon-possessed man. This takes place on the eastern side of Lake Galilee in a region called the Decapolis, and this was not a predominantly Jewish area. Jesus and his disciples have crossed the lake and they are met by really a pretty sorry figure who is dreadfully afflicted by evil spirits. The name Legion may imply several thousand, and you see later on in verse 9 they say, "We are many." Now this man is clearly out of control. He has no self-control. Others can't subdue him. He's living in a graveyard in the hills. Now, we might think, I've never met anybody like this, and that may be right. But what this chap is illustrating for us is the unbridled effect of evil in a life. Demon possession is rare in the sweep of the scriptures, but the Bible's picture of humanity is that to some extent we're all affected by dark forces. And this is an individual at the extreme end of that. His approach to Jesus is interesting. He runs to him on the one hand, yet he's hostile to him on the other. "What do you want with me, Son of the Most High God?" he says, or Jesus, Son of the Most High God, in verse 8. And Jesus casts the demons out of the man and into a large herd of pigs. The herd stampedes into the lake and the pigs are drowned. And people have wondered, why did Jesus allow this to happen? Well, on the one hand, I think he's allowing us to see the truly destructive power of evil. The demons did to these pigs quickly what they were doing to this man slowly. We should be in no doubt that evil seeks to destroy those whom God has made in his image. But also, this is for the man himself. This was surely a very graphic and helpful picture of the release that this man has just enjoyed as he sees what has afflicted him for all these years plunging beneath the surface of the lake. Now, what's interesting is the response from the locals. They see what has happened to the man. They see him clothed and in his right mind. So again, there's no doubting about Jesus' power. But in verse 17, amazingly, they plead with Jesus to leave their region. They've taken an economic hit with the destruction of the pigs. Maybe they're concerned about the effect of Jesus on their pockets. But maybe too they recognize that someone who can transform such a hopeless case as this man will make undoubtedly radical claims on their lives too. And Jesus does indeed go as he's asked, though he commissions the man to be a witness amongst the area. So Mark is leaving us in no doubt about the radically destructive intention and power of evil, but he's also making clear that Jesus is clearly greater. Well, the second story is also remarkable. A synagogue ruler's daughter is sick with a fever, and on his way to help her, Jesus stops to deal with a woman who has been bleeding for 12 years, the same length of time as the little girl has been alive. The woman has secretly reached out to Jesus in faith and just thinking that touch of Jesus' clothes will heal her. And she is indeed healed, but Jesus doesn't want her hope to rest on some superstitious belief about his clothes. No, he makes clear to her in verse 34 that her faith in him is what is really crucial. But while he's dealing with her, news comes that the little girl is dead. Initially, this seems to have been a bad decision on Jesus' part, stopping for the woman who's handled this for years while missing the pressing need of the little girl. But amazingly, he says to Jairus, her father, "Don't be afraid, just believe." And he goes with only the girl's parents and the disciples present, and he raises the little girl from the dead. Beautifully, he says to her, "Little girl, I say to you, get up." It's the same sort of phrase that a parent would use to rouse a sleeping toddler. It seems that for Jesus to raise the dead is as easy as it is for you to me or to waken a child. Well, both the parents of the girl and the woman get much more from Jesus than they had hoped for. The woman is not only healed but understands that faith in Christ is crucial. Jairus and his wife not only see that Jesus is able to deal with sickness, but know that he is Lord even over death. Actually, both of these stories anticipate what is coming in the big story about Jesus. For him to touch the bleeding woman and the dead girl meant that, in the thinking of the time, he had become religiously unclean. So he symbolically shares in uncleanness and in death in order to deliver both of these people from their afflictions. And as we'll see on the cross, Jesus would become unclean as he would bear our sin. He would die, and as he did that, he would do what was necessary to bring us life. Well, that's a few chapters away, but the shadow of the cross extends right through the gospel. That's the end of our first week. Read chapter 6. I'll see you on Monday.